Around on the agenda to accommodate some people coming in late and to try to move some things along swiftly so we have more time to spend on other things. The first item that we're going to take up is HB 1137. This bill is identical to the one we passed in the Senate already, dealing with certified public accountants. It allows for a different range of options to sit for the CPA exam. CPA exam would remain the same, so no changes to the actual exam, and you would still be required to pass that exam. It's just the path that you take to get there will be a little bit more flexible and will not require, it would essentially require a bachelor's degree with a emphasis in accounting, and you would not necessarily have to get a full 150 hours. And that's an explanation of what the bill does. Does anyone have any questions on that? If not, do I have a motion? Oh, yeah. Yes, we did. We passed the same thing on the Senate side.
Also.
Thank you. Motion's Stiles Fisher do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll report that bill out. The next bill we'll take up is HB 1265. Mississippi Debt Management Services extends a repealer. Again, this is similar to the bill that we had on the Senate already, SB 2011, that we passed out. As it says in the short title, it just extends the repeal date on that. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm kind of active this morning, but how long have we had the repealer? Like, how long have we been extending? And I ask that question because I think sometimes we get used to just extending repealers and we keep doing it.
Fair point. Gordon, do you know? Okay. So
just take a note of that. Thank you.
And do you have any questions about the program? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay. Fantastic. Motion Stiles Fisher do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll report that bill out. Next on the agenda, House Bill 346. This is regarding landscape architects. I was unfamiliar with this until yesterday. The way that I understand it is current code does not allow for architects, landscape architects, to be in a practice together. This would just free that up where if they chose to be in a firm together, they could have a full service firm. And that would be what this bill would do. Does anyone have any questions about that? Motion Stiles Fisher do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll report that bill out. Next up on the agenda, do we have the supplemental agenda? Okay, in your supplemental agenda, House Bill 1642. This also mirrors a Senate bill we did, the no file for consumer finance lenders. What it allows for, so currently the filing fee for, I believe it would be a UCC1 for items that are used as collateral is maybe $10. And this bill would allow for a finance company to, in lieu of that UCC1 filing that they could charge the client, they could use that same amount of money, up to $10, to purchase insurance instead of. So it's at no additional cost to the customers of that lending institution. It just gives an option instead of filing the collateral agreement that you would, or the security agreement you would file, or you would get an insurance policy on that. We passed that out of here as well, and happy to field any questions on it. All right, motion is title sufficient do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll pass that bill out. Okay, we're gonna take up item number 6 and 7. I would like to take these up in block, and I'll tell you briefly what we're going to do with those. We're going to have a couple of speakers regarding them. I am not prepared today to present what I think we should do, but I'd like to hear from a couple of speakers, move these bills along in the process. One of them is double referred. They work in tandem based on the way that the current language is written. They are in regards to crypto kiosks, which if you're not familiar, they are small kiosk machines. They are not ATM machines, but they look similar to ATM machines. They are located in places like gas stations. There's one at the Shell station on High Street. These machines are where you put cash in to the machine and upload it to or convert it to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. And it is then put in a wallet, and then this can be transferred around to multiple different wallets around the world. But it has become an easy way for scammers to get people to put their money out in a way that it is very difficult to get it back. So today we have Department of Banking and the Attorney General's office that are going to give us a short explanation of what their thoughts are on that. And then I would like to, then we'll discuss what we can do with the bills. So if Department of Banking would like to start that.
Thank you. I want to give you an idea of why we're seeking this authority. Right now, there's no oversight for this activity. Mississippi has about 300 of these kiosks operating within our state. I think they're in 48 cities in Mississippi. There is a high degree of anonymity, irreversible nature of transactions, and difficulty to trace the transactions, which has been a culprit of a lot of fraud. Last year, I think there was about $300 million in fraud perpetrated through the use of crypto ATM kiosks in our country. That was about a 332% increase in 5 years. So what we propose to do is have a framework for licensure to require limits in the transactions amounts, receipt requirements, daily transaction limits, fraud prevention measures, disclaimers, disclosures to the consumers. This law is based on a model law that the AARP has shared with the state agencies. About 20 states have already pursued this oversight. You have a folder in front of you. It's a blue folder. There are 3 items in there. One item is a letter of support that I've written to both House and Senate committee about the bill, the purpose, and hopefully the consequence for these types of actions. Another one is a bill analysis for this language. Another is a short title description of the bill. At this point, we want oversight, transparency, and accountability for any kind of fraudulent transactions and protection of Mississippi consumers. With that, I'll answer any questions that the committee might have, or I can give it to the Attorney General's committee meeting. Okay, looks like there's a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, good morning. So how many cases are before your office? How many cases has there been fraud with these kiosks?
Fraud a lot of times goes to the AG's office. That's been our kind of discussion about fraud in the ATMs. We have a lot more discussions with other state agencies and what they're seeing. As you'll see in the document that I provided, there are 4 states that are seeking bans. In 2024, Minnesota had pursued this types of oversight for their banking agency. This year, they're pursuing a ban on this type of activity because of the fraudulent activity that's come through. Indiana started this session pursuing oversight. After discussions in the city committees, they've decided to seek a ban. Tennessee is also seeking a ban, and Maine and Vermont has also provided a ban. So our conversations have been with other state regulators on their experience with these kiosk operators under the authority or seeking authority in their state. So we have not had any complaints come through our department, but it's been conversations with other state bank regulators.
On House Bill number 1625, I'm interested particularly in section 10. 449 through 455, the commissioner may adopt rules necessary to implement, administer, and enforce this act. And then it says B, currency kiosks may be seized at the operator's expense if the operator fails to comply with the requirements of this act. Who's the appeal process go through?
I'm going to let my attorney, Bridget Wiggins, work through some of the details. She worked on that language, but I'll let her have that floor at this point.
Good morning. So the appeal process would follow the same appeal process that any money transmitter would have to abide by, and that allows for them to file an appeal with the Chancery Court here in the First Judicial District. So because we would have them being licensed as money transmitter under the Money Transmitter Act, the appeal provisions for money transmitters would apply to them. And that appeal process includes going to Chancery Court.
Okay, so that's where you would appeal any decision by the department.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, Counselor.
Sure.
Yes. So there's some at Kroger, because there's one at my Kroger. They're at convenience stores. I mean, they're throughout the state. And I do know that I've seen some, I heard about there being some like at a CVS. So they're in many different locations. Some, depending on the area, might not be as safe as others, but there's no discretion in where they are. They're just in multiple locations. The cash. Yeah. Yeah. We considered with the threshold limits, we considered, if a new customer is approaching a kiosk, not understanding the potential risk or threats, limiting their transaction amounts to $5,000 or $1,000 really protects them if this is a fraud scheme. I've talked to the Indiana commissioner, and he informed me that he was in a very rural part of Indiana, and he went to get cash out of the ATM. The ATM had a multifunction. It was an ATM and it was a crypto kiosk. And when he approached the point of sale worker and asked, like, what is this machine in the back? Who uses it? She said, I don't know. I don't really know what that machine is, but a lot of old people go to the back and they use that machine all the time. And his thought was that that machine was being perpetrated for fraud. And it was located in the back of the store in this instance. But when you walk out of Kroger, you will see this machine next to an ATM, next to a water machine, and next to a coin collection machine. There is no requirement that they be inside. I think it's just, there's just a licensure requirement that each location is licensed with us and accountable for those transactions at that machine. Currently, there's no oversight. Yes, right now, there's no limit on daily transaction. There's no limit on the amount that they can charge for those and there's no recourse for harmed consumers. As you see in your documents, I think there was a fraud perpetrated in South Mississippi a couple weeks ago. $46,000 was basically put into this machine at a Texaco, and this customer just lost the money. And sometimes it's an email or a call that you owe this, you owe that, and we're going to come and you have criminal consequences if you don't pay us this money. And it's a trained, orchestrated group that is doing this. And a lot of these consumers just don't know until they put that money in that machine and it's gone because you cannot trace it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my question is, I've read in your handout
Sure.
here. there's
Which
some-
document?
When you have a bill analysis, I'm just looking at, it says kiosk fraud in Mississippi, like in Pascagoula, somebody lost $46,000.
Yes.
So is the fraud, it's just, they're using these machines but they're not getting anything, so somebody's just taking their money?
So sometimes it's an email that they get that they owe this certain amount of money, and they give them instructions on where to go and how to use this machine. And these people take these instructions and they go to a location. I've heard one state regulator told me that Ubers have gotten in this and they're sending Ubers to the location site of these victims to pick them up and take them to the location, where then they follow the instructions and they insert their money, and there's a play-by-play instruction of what they should do, what they should select. And once that, they put that money in there and that transaction is complete, it's gone.
So the kiosk is not where the fraud is happening. It's from another, some other way.
The kiosk operator should be accountable for the transactions that happens through that unit. Verification of the user, verification of the wallet is very important. So our whole point is to try to put some accountability over that transaction. And since that is a money transmission transaction, the unit is where we see that accountability happen.
I mean, I'm almost at a point, I mean, do we really need these kiosks anyway? I mean, I was, looking, some states are actually banning them.
I don't disagree, but I want to provide a framework in the event that there were free market discussions around letting this, let's have some opportunity to breathe, but.
Are these mostly elderly people that are?
I think that the AG's office can speak more clearly to some of the impacted victims, but in our conversations with other state agencies, it has been elderly individuals.
I feel like most people now will go be using an app or go to the website or.
It's actually cheaper via the app versus going to the machine and paying the absorbent fees that they charge for that point of sale transaction.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, just a couple of questions, kind of along the same lines of Senator Suber. I understand that you say that, you wanted to provide a framework rather than necessarily banning them.
So I'll say this, I don't want to choose one over the other. The ban option came up after we pursued some oversight. I do have concerns about these terminals. At a minimum, there should be some type of framework.
Gotcha. And I appreciate that. Because my question was next, what are legitimate uses for these? Like what's the necessity? What would some Mississippians say to us like, oh, you've banned this and I absolutely needed this for what reason?
I have asked that question. We had one of the industry people in our office that has the most ATMs in Mississippi operating right now. He came to us and we asked him, why would somebody use this machine? What is a legitimate use? One example he gave us is that, people like masseuses, they get their money and then they go put it in this machine. I'll tell you, I worked hourly wages in college. There was no way I was taking my money that I got from my check and putting it in the machine. And so they could not tell us of a legitimate use for this product.
Because arguably, and I get it, like I was just talking about this issue the other day. I'm amazed at how many people don't have bank accounts, but arguably that person could also go down the street and get a bank account.
Right.
And now ATMs are actually taking cash and
Right.
you can put it directly to your bank account. So that's the first question. My second question is, in this framework, I saw that I guess a compromise in my mind was there are several states that says that they are limiting or making the fees that they can take so low that it discourages use. Why did we? And again, I'm not putting you on the hot seat, but what was the logic behind us allowing them to have the higher fees or what have you? Because again, one, we're saying, okay, I think that as a state looking at this, we're being kind to set up a framework and let you still be here for something unnecessary. But then we're now allowing you to tax these people to use this service. What was the thought around that?
So I guess we'll start from the beginning. At the beginning, there was no fee cap because it's not regulated. There's no oversight. And then once we met with the industry, they were like, well, our sweet spot is between 18 and 30%. And that sounded absorbent.
That's more than what I get in cases.
I know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so there were three pain points with the industry. There was a transaction fee limit. There was the duration of the time that a customer was designated as a new customer, and there was the percentage rate cap. So right now, 72 hours is what most state frameworks allow for new customers. We started with 30 days. We ended with 14 days. I think the transaction limit was 10,000 in most states. I think we have 7,500 for existing customers, and is it 5,000? 1,000 a day?
Yeah.
1,000 a day for new customers, for up to 5,000 for that duration for the new customer. And in many states, that fee is a lot higher. So in talking and getting this bill to a place where we could kind of see it move, there were some discussions around, okay, I can accept this, but I can't accept that. So that 20% that we landed on, not comfortable with, but I really want to protect the customers at that 14-day threshold and limit the amount that they can transact in that new day, that new customer duration, and what all of the existing customers could be transaction on a daily limit. That was also lower than most states. So it was almost a compromise in looking at how can we protect the most people in the biggest way.
So it's basically a harm reduction.
Yeah, it was, yes. So, yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kelly. I want to give the committee plenty of time, but let me just tell y'all, what I did with these two bills is, we prepared strike alls and we're going to be adding a reverse repealer to one that I didn't add one to already. I want to take these bills to conference to give us plenty of time to discuss whether we think that there should be a ban. If we think not, at what level is appropriate to be regulated. I can tell you that something, in my opinion, should be done. There's agreement from the Department of Banking, Mississippi Bankers Association, Attorney General's Office, AARP, all agree that these are an issue and used for scamming purposes, at least in some regard. The data on how many people are scammed and for how much is not accurate data because many of these don't get reported. I mean, you are voluntarily putting your money in a machine and sending it to someone. And so oftentimes if they choose to go report it to local jurisdiction, law enforcement, they're oftentimes told there's nothing that can be done about it. And so we don't have good data. We can reasonably assume that it's high based on what we know. But I would like to move these bills along with the intent to continue to work on them so that by conference we can decide what route we want to go. With that, unless somebody has another pressing question for now, I promised the Attorney General's office. So Department of Banking is most appropriate for the oversight in this because of their infrastructure already. But the Attorney General's office has a part in this where they want to include civil asset forfeiture and seizure authority. And I told them that they could have 5 minutes to discuss that. So I'd like to briefly do that. And then we're going to move on to some other bills unless the committee has other issues.
Thank you, Chairman.
Good morning, Chairman and Senators. We appreciate the time to talk about this issue. We're supportive of the kiosk regulation. It needs oversight because the kiosks themselves are not necessarily what's bad, it's how they're facilitating the fraud, right? So any regulation that's done is definitely going to be a deterrent to the fraudsters that are perpetuating these crimes. But the main thing I wanted to talk to you about, and some of it came out in some of the questions, is about the fraud that's happening. Section 14 talks about civil forfeiture. And so what's happening now, and the chairman's right, the numbers are hard to place because if you're a victim of one of these fraud through crypto, who are you calling? Are you calling your local law enforcement? Are you calling a state agency? Or are you calling the feds? Or are all of them getting contacted? If you go by the current FBI statistics for 2024, $80 million was committed in fraud in Mississippi through either business email compromise, cryptocurrency scams, or romance scams, investor scams, all these type of scams that are being done through either email or text messages or phone calls. So what we're asking is, right now, law enforcement on the local and state level has no avenue to, number one, most of these perpetrators are overseas, right? So we're not going to be able to arrest them and get criminal forfeiture. We're not going to be able to get restitution, which is ideally what we would want in all these instances. What we're asking is, most states have civil forfeiture laws, including Mississippi. We already have laws on the books for civil forfeiture, but it only pertains to drug cases and racketeering. What we're asking in this section is for you to add a couple laws that involve these type of crimes so that we've been able to identify accounts that had the money in it to our victims, businesses or citizens of Mississippi. but we didn't have seizure authority, so we couldn't grab that money and get it back to them. Now, in some instances, we have leaned on our federal partners and gotten federal seizure warrants. And that's great. We love our federal partners. And in 2024, we were able to grab $2.5 million back. Like I said, we know about 80 million. We got about 2.5 million back. Right now, there's no recourse for victims or businesses to get their money back. The Fed guidance right now, quite frankly, is this: there's too many scams per investigator, and that if this happens to you, you need to go to ic3.gov, which is the Internet Crime Complaint Center, and it's basically a Intel database where you put the information in where you were scammed, and they keep track of it. They may work some of those, they may not. They tell you to call your bank fraud department, and then basically you're probably not going to get your money back. But we don't agree with that at the Attorney General's office. We want to at least make the attempt. If we can identify the money in a bank account or cryptocurrency, we want to get it back. We have done that. If the way it works on cryptocurrency, just so you know, yes, when it goes to a wallet, we can't seize it from a wallet directly. But when they go to move that and exchange it into different forms of money, they have to go through an exchange like Binance or Coinbase. Those companies work with law enforcement. We've been able to provide a federal seizure warrant and seize cryptocurrency and get it back to the victim. I'm guessing most of you have had someone call your office, or you know a constituent of yours that has been a victim of these type of crimes. And so we're asking that the civil forfeiture portion of this be included in the bill so that we actually have a way to help businesses and victims get their money back.
Thank you. Let me just throw out, so we have, in my opinion, two overarching decisions to make on this issue. And one of those has an A and a B, or C really. One, do we want to go the route of banning them? And that would make most of this a moot point. Second, if we want to not tell a business that they can't do business in Mississippi, but try to create a framework for them to operate under, we then have to decide what that framework, licensing, the overarching rules that we are going to set for them are, what kinds of things that we would like to put in to reduce or prevent scams from happening, and if we choose what recourse we give authority to the state to go after ones that are scammed. So that's an overarching framework of what we are looking to do. Again, I would like to move these forward just to keep them alive and work on them throughout the rest of the session. If there are any pressing questions right now, I'll field those. Okay. Thank you. The motion is to add a reverse repealer to 1596. 1596 is a strike all that removes the language that came from the House and just brings the code sections forward, and this would add a reverse repealer to keep it alive through conference. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Yes. Move we take 1596, 1625 block. Motion is to take those items in block. All those in favor of doing that, say aye. Any opposed? And now the motion is title sufficient do pass as amended strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll move those along and continue to work on those. Y'all feel free to gather information. Let's continue the discussion to find what we believe is the best route. Thank you all very much for your time. All right, we're going to go up to, let me make a correction. I made an error a while ago when I presented the bill about the no-file, the $10 fee that you could, a consumer finance company could charge a customer instead of the filing fee that they could use it towards insurance. I said the wrong bill number. The actual bill number is 1219. I said 1642. Unless anyone has any issue with that, we'll just correct that now and make that work. Does anybody have any issue with that? It's the same bill, I just said the wrong number. Okay, thank you. We'll go to the top of the agenda for House Bill 547. What this does is currently, as y'all know, and we had a bill on the floor yesterday where retailers charge sometimes, or they can choose to charge a fee to offset their processing or interchange fee that they're charged from credit card, debit card use. Small lending institutions do not have that ability. This would allow for check cashers and credit availability licensees to be able to just charge that offsetting fee. It is not a profit driver. It would be just to offset the fee that they are charged, and currently under law, they are not allowed to do that. Does anyone have any questions regarding that? If not, we have a motion. Motion's title sufficient do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, we're going to go to item number 3, House Bill 1150. This is a bill that we discussed in the as a Senate bill earlier in the session. I think we have Stephen Clay here to go over a few things. There were some concerns and questions, and Steve will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I've got a little handout that Craig's going to handle for y'all. First, it is a section by section of what this bill does. Also, it's the second sheet shows you the way this bill is. There's a lot of underlying language because we're reorganizing the code section for the Engineers and Surveyors Licensure Board. So it appears that it's a lot of new language when it's really not. And so we wanted to do a side-by-side for y'all that you have there also. And then your last sheet is highlighted. That's the actual new language in the statute. And I've got 2 board members here from the Licensure Board, Steve Tweet and Carrie Harden, that are happy to come and just say a couple of words and answer any questions. But the overall goal is to reorganize their licensure law so it would be streamlined. And Steve, you want to come real quick and just present? If that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, let me give the committee members a couple minutes if y'all want to look through this. I know that a few people may already have some questions. I think there's been some research done. Senator Delano?
Mr. Chairman, I know this has been an issue that your committee and previous committees have looked at this over a couple of years. I know that I've worked with Steve Tweet, who's one of my constituents on the coast, over some of these issues, and I'll take some blame for some of the reorganization that they tried to do, but because it was kind of clunky. But I think that they've done a pretty good job of trying to put all this stuff back together in a way that makes more logical sense, and it just more or less stratifies how we do business in the real world on the development side. So I just wanted to let you know that that I have been involved in this and worked with them on some of these issues. But thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Do any committee members have questions about this legislation?
Just very briefly, as I know we're time sensitive, there's a term of service on the board change that's in direct conflict with 2799. I would like to have some discussion after committee before this comes to the floor on whether or not that's appropriate to start carving things out. Thank you.
Do you have any desire to make an amendment?
Amendment would be that the terms that we passed in 2799 that applied across numerous state agencies, boards, and commissions would remain the same. So any changes would be stricken from the bill.
Are there any other questions on the bill? All right, you'll have heard the proposed amendment. Thank you. There's an amendment here that would that would replace where 6 is and would change it to 4. Does anyone have any questions about that amendment?
It would just go back to whatever language applied on the passage of 2799. So I apologize. I don't know that off the top of my head, but that is one piece of it. What input that the groups want on who they put up to the governor to nominate, I have no problem with that. It's just that we did this across state agencies, boards and commissions for continuity's sake. And I would just like for us to maintain that. Otherwise, every year, we'll have people coming in wanting to do it a different way.
So y'all have heard the proposed amendment. What I'd like to do is, he's been clear on the concept that it would match 2799. We have this. We will ensure that it matches, or if not, make what changes to match that. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, then his motion is to adopt that amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll adopt that amendment. Now, is there any more debate on the bill? Does anyone have an motion on the bill? Title sufficient, do pass, strike all is the motion. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we will pass that bill out. Next, we have House Bill 1477, which deals with safety deposit boxes. And, we had this bill before and we moved it along, but there was some debate about wills and other documents. Briefly, I think some of y'all that had concerns, I sent you the information on it. Let me ask first, based on that, does anyone have any questions about the updates that were made from when we passed this in the Senate? Or when we
I guess my only question is, how does this differ from what we passed?
Yes. I'm going to ask Mississippi Bankers Association to briefly tell us the changes.
So basically, the key element that is dealing with legal documents, and we also are including electronic media as well, since some things may be on flash drives, et cetera. We're clarifying that the bank would not destroy any of those kind of materials, and that we're still working out what exactly the process should look like, but with the treasurer and clerk's offices, et cetera, so that we're giving the treasurer explicitly letting saying that the treasurer will lay out, use through regulation, a process for both the disposition and the storage for legal documents. And we have a list of examples. It's not limited to that list, but things such as wills, any kind of wills, trust documents, things like that, vehicle titles, any kind of legal deeds, any legal documents like that would be preserved. And the treasurer's office would work on a disposition process, whether that may be storing it with the treasurer or at the clerk's office, something like that, but just to make sure that we have a process that will be put in place to preserve those documents for the heirs or whoever, make sure they're not unintentionally destroyed or anything like that.
So the intent would be to have uniform language, but also protect the documents. But do you have any questions about that or any concerns?
I mean, that is being worked on. No, my question is, I think I'm hearing us say that we're still working on getting the language right, which I totally to support that. Is that kind of where we are? We're working on.
I think what we're saying is that in code, we're going to set that the treasurer's office will set the regulations for.
Promulgate.
Yes. And the reason for that is if there is one, to keep it uniform, which we could do in code, but then if there are changes to how things may need to be handled, it would be more easy to adapt to those.
Okay.
But as we move this along, we won't take it up on the floor for at least a week. So if you have any feedback or things that you want to work on, let's do that. Any other questions? Motion sounds sufficient. Do pass, strike all. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll report that bill out. We've got 3 more bills on the supplemental agenda, but we are out of time. We're going to have Secretary of State's office talk with us about those bills. Y'all see the ones that are on there. And we will have a short meeting on Monday or Tuesday to talk through those and decide how we want to proceed on them. With that, entertain a motion, rise and report. Motion, rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?